For 25 years, the Falun Gong has grown every single day. Millions and upon millions of people have joined, and it continues to grow, notwithstanding a brutal 18-year-long campaign of extermination perpetrated by the communist regime.
Falun Dafa is a meditation practice that you can do like in your daily life. It's very simple exercises and meditation. And there's also a very simple philosophy to try to be a better person.
When I started practicing Falun Dafa, within a month, it was a huge transformation. I was no longer needed any naps during the day. I had a lot of energy.
It makes me a better physician. It makes me more caring towards my patients and more giving of my time and my energy. And also it makes me a better parent.
It helps sometimes with my illnesses, and I'm very happy to be a practitioner.
Making me a better person and making me more compassionate and more tolerant.
I used to have severe pain on my left side of the body, on my shoulder, on my neck, and going down my leg. And immediately when I started practicing, I felt pleasant energy within those affected areas. It disappeared, yes.
I'm very, very grateful for the practice, and my family is very grateful as well.
The world needs Falun Dafa. The world needs truthfulness, compassion, forbearance.
Just made the quality of my life so much better, brought so much more harmony to my life. And through following those three principles, it's actually a way to achieve better health and have more energy.
You cannot be a human being without these three words: truthfulness, compassion, and forbearance. This is what the society, especially the Western society, needs.
Je pense que Falun Dafa est bon, ça va vous apporter beaucoup de choses. Vous pouvez parler à cette méthode à votre famille. Cette méthode est gratuite. Vous pouvez regarder sur internet et apprendre les exercices et lire les livres. E adapté à vérité, compassion e tolerância.
Falun Dafa trata-se de cultivo da mente, cultivo do corpo, e envolve princípios de verdade, compaixão e tolerância, que a gente acredita que são as características do universo.
Cultivation, improving your morality and improving your health. That's why so many people are here. That's why so many people in China practiced Falun Gong before the persecution.
In the same way it has sought to eradicate Christians, the Chinese Communist Party has also sought to eliminate the spiritual practice of Falun Gong in China. The Chinese government routinely uses extra-legal coercive measures, including propaganda, a program of enforced ideological conversion and re-education, arbitrary arrests, forced labor, and physical torture. And since 2006, we've been hearing of something so evil, it's difficult to imagine. the systematic execution and harvesting of organs from Chinese Falun Gong practitioners. It is estimated that tens of thousands of Falun Gong prisoners have had their organs harvested.
They're all wonderfully sweet, kind people without a vicious bone in their body, and they have nothing but goodwill for people, and yet they're treated this way. It's a bit like the way the Christians were treated by the Roman Empire. The people were believed in helping others and kindness and so on. And these monsters from Rome would come along and say, we're going to burn you at the stake, Nero, for example. And they would light Christians, they would light them with fire. And well, the parallels are rather striking, similar.
The exercise, the Falun Gong, was actually encouraged initially by the authorities on the basis that it was healthful and it cut down on the health bill and the system. And it grew from a standing start in '92 until '99, according to government estimates. They were estimating the size of various NGO communities. It was 70 to 100 million practitioners, which was more at the time than the membership of the Communist Party, which was 60 million.
This was seen by Jiang Zemin, then the leader of the Communist Party, as a threat to his own position.
He, even though many members of the Politburo were familiar with the practice and many party members were doing the exercises, on July 20th of '99, the Communist Party leadership launched a protracted and violent campaign whose stated purpose was to, quote, eradicate Falun Gong.
There's also, of course, the demonization and marginalization of the Falun Gong. I mean, although this demonization was not, the awful things that were said and believed about the Falun Gong were not the reason for the banning. They became an ex post facto justification for the repression. And so the Falun Gong people said there was an evil cult, that they killed themselves, they killed others.
I put it down to the skill of the Chinese government in demonizing the practitioners of Falun Gong within China, so that they're, as I understand, can be ostracized or considered to be bad citizens, bad people, and so you shouldn't believe anything they say. But they've also sold that to people who should be able to take a far more critical stance, who haven't been subject to years of Chinese brainwashing. There's no evidence that Falun Gong is a cult of any sort. There's no evidence of anything other than a deep desire to be left alone to practice their spiritual beliefs in peace and to not be locked up and murdered.
Now, I've met, as I said, hundreds of members of Falun Gong. It is not a sect, it is not a cult, there is no money involved, there is no brainwashing. All the normal characteristics of a cult simply don't exist.
We've actually had a case in the courts in Canada where it was ruled that Falun Gong is not a cult. And if you look at, as you said, all the indicia of cults, it is not one. And it's simply a part of this demonization that goes on. It's an easy term to throw out. David and I have met Falun Gong practitioners in probably 50 countries.
Or even more, maybe. Yeah.
Okay. All walks of life, all ages, all backgrounds, all education. I've found them to be a wonderful group of people.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't disagree with any of that. If you look what's happening in China with the Catholic Church, the Communist Party appoints bishops. And with the Buddhism, they've got their own Panchen Lama. And Islam, they have their own imams. But they can't do that with Falun Gong. And
because they can't control them by appointing somebody who is the head of Falun Gong, the persecution is the only way out, which is to a certain extent explains the persecution, but also explains their strength, because the Falun Gong cannot be destroyed in that way by appointing somebody the communists decide to appoint as their head.
And I should stress that from the start, Falun Gong practitioners had no desire to become involved in politics and never intended to challenge the Communist Party. Their only political objective is to seek peacefully the end to the persecution across China.
The Falun Gong, all of you, have responded to that brutal campaign, not through violence, but through education, through awareness, by shining a light on these egregious human rights abuses, and by promoting the principles of tolerance, compassion, and benevolence.
Falun Gong has been exemplary in its response. It has never dealt with violence in a violent way. It's always responded with forbearance, with love, with truth, with patience, and ultimately that's going to prevail.
And it's so beautiful, it feels so spiritually warm and loving. I love it. I wish I would practice it.
We're really looking forward to learning more about Falun Dafa.
Got intrigued why those people are persecuted, so I looked online and I checked and I found it's nothing wrong. It's such a good practice.
It's my job to speak up and say that Falun Dafa is good.
I want to say thank you for bringing the Falun Dafa to Canada.
I want you to know that I personally and the Green Party of Canada stand with you in solidarity. We support your rights to practice your traditional beliefs, to practice Falun Dafa, to practice Falun Gong as a peaceful expression of a belief system that is no threat to anyone.
The killing of Falun Gong practitioners. This is where Falun Gong developed in China in the 1990s.
The persecution of Falun Gong is one of the worst human rights abuses in the world. It is absolutely wrong. It must stop immediately. The United States President must speak out against the persecution of Falun Gong.
Leader in the free world, including President Trump, needs to raise this, in this case with Xi Jinping, very directly and earnestly and with great belief that things can change for the better if we use the tools at our disposal.
We are very concerned about restrictions on freedom of religion in China, including restrictions and punishments against the Falun Gong, and we will continue to track these issues very closely and raise them with the government of China.
We're a nation of believers. We will not allow people of faith to be targeted, bullied, or silenced anymore.